Today's case is not for the faint of heart. We have another cheerleader mom who gave birth to her baby and then disposed of it, but this time in the hospital bathroom. We're going to talk about all that and review some of the body cam footage in today's video. Hello Sofa Squad and welcome back to the sofa with Mr. Roscoe sitting on it. He's blended into the blanket back there, but he is sitting back there and my name is Paul. Now, as I said in the opening, we're going to be discussing the case of, this is out of Hobbs County, right on the heels of a conviction for the mother who, and I use the term mother lightly, who threw her baby away in the dumpster. Luckily, that baby was found alive very soon thereafter by some dumpster divers. Now, this case did not have a happy ending like that at all. This case is the young mother. Her name is Alexi, but she goes by Lexi. That's what her mother seems to call her a lot in some of the video we'll be reviewing. And she went to the hospital. She went in there with like severe back pain. She had been doing like cheerleader practice earlier that day. Goes in with severe back pain and is basically in labor, giving birth to a full-term baby, and goes to the bathroom, hides herself in it, and then disposes the body in the trash can. And then once this is discovered, because of course it's going to be discovered, she says that I didn't know what to do and the baby wasn't breathing. The same story that we've heard before with some of these similar cases. Now, what we're going to be doing in today's video is reviewing a variety of footage, some from Law and Crime, some from news outlets, some from Court TV, just a wide variety of things to kind of get an idea of how everybody arrived at this young lady going into the bathroom and giving birth. So there'll be several things. So again, if this is very sensitive to you, it's probably not the video for you. Now, what I want to do is start off by watching a couple of clips from a news organization to basically get us all on the same page of what exactly took place. So let's go ahead and review those first.
Less than 2 weeks after a Hobbs teen went to prison for throwing her newborn into a dumpster, a nearly identical case, but it's even worse.
Investigators say 19-year-old gave birth to a baby and then threw the baby into a hospital trash can where he died.
This is 19-year-old Alexi Treviso. She had no prior criminal history before this. Investigators say she gave birth to the child back in January, but she was just charged yesterday. Now, investigators say in late January, Treviso entered Artesia General Hospital complaining of lower back pains. That's when nurses discovered she was pregnant. Treviso then locked herself in a hospital bathroom for a long period of time, where nurses found her inside with the bathroom covered in blood, according to investigators. They also say nurses tended to Treviso when housekeepers came in to clean up the bathroom. That's when they discovered a heavy trash bag buried underneath other trash, and inside a baby boy not breathing. Treviso's lawyer is blaming the hospital.
Now, don't worry, we will review some clips of the interviews that the attorney has given, because it's very interesting how much information he's already putting out there as to what the defense most likely will be or could possibly be. Now, before we get into my opinions and all that kind of stuff on the clips we're watching, remember, as I always like to say, but if you're new here, it'll be your first time hearing it. Yo, I'm not a doctor, I'm not a psychiatrist, I'm not a cop, I'm not a lawyer, I'm not none of that fancy credentialed stuff, okay? I'm just a guy with a sofa and a little dog and some opinions on true crime. These are just my opinions. I urge you to do your own research, come to your own conclusions, and talk about it down in the comment section below. Now, let's talk about a couple of things with that clip. First of all, how haunting is it to see her running to the bathroom, holding her backside, and then coming back out, knowing now what we know? And one thing that blows my mind with these cases, now when I say these other cases, one that I'm immediately thinking of is Brooke Skylar Richardson. This was the teenager who had her baby at home, claimed that the baby was not breathing, and buried it in the backyard. Now, where that went down south is the attorneys and whatnot got a hold of it and tried to say that, oh, she burned the baby alive, but then they retracted that. It was a hot mess of a trial, and she ended up walking free, except for she was convicted on decimating a corpse or abuse of a corpse or something like that. So as we watch these clips with her, and especially when we get into the body cam footage, pay attention to the things that she's saying about it wasn't breathing, because some of my first thoughts were, okay, this is going to be a thing that these people, and I say these people, these young ladies who are giving birth like this and claiming, I didn't know, or I didn't know what to do, and we'll talk about that too as well, my thoughts on it later in the video, because I think that there are reasonings why they end up in the position of being so frightened to say anything, and I think we'll see some of that playing out when the mother's talking to her. But as far as this clip goes, again, it was just extremely frightening to me, and sadly, on the heels of this other mother who got convicted, 16 years in prison she got, for throwing a baby in the trash can. I mean, you can't make this stuff up. Okay, so let's go ahead and watch the next clip.
She put the baby in the trash can, and then she put another clean liner over the top of it.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So when they looked in there, there was no trash in there, but it was underneath the clean bag. The baby's dead. Okay, we have him in trauma too, but she killed the kid.
Yeah. How old was the baby?
I don't know. It's full term. She just had it. She had it in the bathroom. Was what happened.
Okay, now a couple of things with this clip. So first of all, this cop listening to this, can you imagine taking a call and walking into this? And I'll make note of this as we go through, because I'm watching these nurses, these doctors talking to Lexi, and I'm just thinking, what has to be going through their mind, right? Now, one thing, too, is you notice when the person off screen is describing what took place, and they're like, she killed the kid. Now, of course, an autopsy had to be done. It had not been done at this point, right? So at the point in time of this, I mean, one could put one and one together, right, and surmise that she probably did something to the child, but they don't technically know that at that point, right? Nothing's been done to prove this. Now, the only reason I bring that up is also because of what we're going to hear from some of the lawyers' clips that we're going to watch. Now, we'll get to those momentarily, but first we need to look at the scenario unfold before we can get to how they're going to try and talk their way out of this. So let's go ahead and watch some of these clips. Now, I'm literally just taking some highlights of this. I urge you to go to Law and Crime Network and watch the thing in its entirety, because it's much longer than what I'm presenting here, but obviously I don't want to sit here and go through all this with y'all and bore you and all that fun stuff. So I'm just talking about the highlights that stuck out to me, but again, Law and Crime Network, you can check the full video out on their channel.
I'm sorry, Sarah. We discovered a dead baby in the bathroom.
Oh my gosh. I'm sorry. He came out and I didn't know what to do.
Lexi, I told you about this. I just asked you, baby, to tell me the truth.
It was not crying or nothing.
What did you do to it?
Okay, stop right here. Stop. Number one priority, guys. Number one priority is she just had a baby. I don't know if she's delivered the placenta. She's bleeding significantly.
Yeah.
I've spoken to the obstetrician at Loveless. They want her out there as soon as possible.
Okay.
I need your permission to transfer her for medicals. She's
19.
Oh, you're right.
But she is a student too.
She's still 19 years
you're
old.
right. You're right. She needs to. I'm sorry, I forgot she's 19.
Keep out of me.
You need to make sure that you're safe. I need to send you to Loveless to labor and delivery.
I mean, there's so many different things going through my head with this. First of all, the doctor walks right in and gets down to it. Now, clearly they've had a little meeting before this. Right into it. We found a dead baby in the bathroom. I mean, we know what went down right in the bathroom. Alexi stayed in the bathroom for like 20 minutes. She won't let them come in. She leaves. It's a bloody massacre in there. Now, one of them will note that they thought she had tried to harm herself, like being like, oh, I'm pregnant, this type thing, or whatever. So, and then of course it unfolds as we heard, and they found the baby. So, pay very close attention to the mother's reactions in this, because my mind goes to three different things right here. First of all, putting myself in a mom or dad's shoes of, you just found out your daughter has given birth in a bathroom and to a baby that is in the garbage. I mean, your world has just shattered. Your world has just changed. You are in absolute shock. You're a doctor having to go in to say this news and being like, oh my God. So the doctor did a very good job in this, I think. Then you're Lexi, who, she's 19, but clearly very much a child, right? Because you heard them say, oh no, she's 19, she can make that decision. And this will come up too when she's actually arrested and whatnot. But again, 19-year-olds are still very dependent on their parents most of the time. I get this. I was too. That's just how it goes. And certain things like this, it's like, mom knows my, social security number and all this kind of stuff, right? So notice the mother's first thing where she starts coming at the daughter. Like, I told you about this. I told you. And immediately I start seeing this pattern, and it would get more intense of, oh, I can imagine why she didn't want to tell her mother this. Because, I toggle between two things. First of all, I don't know what it's like to be pregnant. I don't know what it's like to remotely even feel that way. So I'm not qualified to sit here and give an opinion on somebody who says, I didn't know I was pregnant. I can't give that opinion, right? Because I have no concept of that. So I'll rely on the comment section for that. So, there's that. So she's, had no idea was pregnant to be coming here or whatever. And we'll find out more about that as this progresses. But the lawyer, that's what he's saying. Okay, so then immediately she comes clean. It came out of me. I was scared. I didn't know what to do. And I believe this, right? Again, I don't know whether to believe that she just found out or whatever. She was hiding it. Who knows? Because in a kid's world, 9 months is like a lifetime, right? So I'm guessing if she knew about it, it was like, I don't know what to do. I'm scared. I'm just going to ignore it and keep going. You never know what's going through their mind. Maybe they think they'll try and give themselves a miscarriage. Maybe she authentically didn't know till she walks in here in labor. I mean, again, I don't know what that would feel like. Labor, one thing, but growing a baby inside of me, right? But then the mother just coming out after the doctor intervenes, like, look, she just had a baby. We have to make sure she's okay. For numerous reasons, obviously, because this is major. But what it screams to everybody is, whoa, this is major, major issues going on here. These are decisions that were made that will shatter and change lives forever.
Will you please agree to that?
Yes. Yes.
Okay, great. I'm going to work on that. I'm sorry about this, but in terms of delivering a baby and it looked like you tried to hide it, we do have to have the police involved.
And what a shock for her, because in my mind I'm going through thinking, okay, you're giving birth to a baby, you go in the bathroom, you do this, you put it in the garbage. And part of me, again, I'm toggling between being 19 years old, and I'm just like, surely they would have more common sense than to realize, like, I mean, what do you think was going to happen? Is my question. But again, there's clearly so many issues going on to have arrived at this. And to be so fearful to say anything, and I don't know what I was going to do. And then a part of me, I'm sitting here, my heart breaks for anyone who would be in a situation to have to go give birth in secrecy to a baby and then try and act like it didn't happen, right? I'm just like, I'm assuming that is incredibly traumatic, right? Also, on that note of, okay, I just gave a baby, I don't know what to do, the sympathy drops off at putting the baby in a garbage bag, okay? I'm just like, why? Even if the baby was dead, let's say they can prove this 100%. The baby was dead. Why would you do that, right? Let's say the baby wasn't dead, then especially. And part of me is over here toggling on, okay, because she's petrified of her mother probably. Like, that's all she knows. Like, you don't know what's going on behind closed doors, but you can kind of guess type thing. And so either way, it just ends up completely tragic, and these questions came up too during Brooke Richardson's trial, because it became very apparent of this incredibly toxic relationship within the family, and you could kind of start piecing things together. Now, does this make the decision like, oh, okay, well, never mind, they killed their baby, or gave birth to a stillborn and just buried it in the backyard? Absolutely not, right? This is like major issues going on, major need of therapy, rehabilitation, this kind of thing, right? But then you also look at him kind of going off on a sofa tangent. So in comparison to, and I don't know all the details too, to the girl who threw the baby in the garbage, and when you watch her throw it, and I'm talking about a separate case, but in the same area, she just went to prison for 16 years. She throws it like you would literally throw a bag of garbage, and the baby was alive. And I'm like, my God, thank God the dumpster divers. Now again, I'm not trying to say, oh, well, it's okay for this, but it's cases like this are interesting how they pull at different areas of the mind and the heart.
And nothing was crying. He came out with nothing.
I know. But the baby's gonna have to be taken for autopsy and there'll be an investigator and everything. I'm really sorry, guys. I'm sorry.
Now, this is also where it all becomes real, where they're like, you know, there's cops here. And again, the go-to for these are going to be, that we're going to see going forward, and I do believe that Brooke, Skylar, Richardson kind of put this on the map of, the baby wasn't breathing, the baby wasn't crying. They know to say that. Also, I wonder if this young lady here, Lexi, if she knew, like if she had already been aware of Brooke's case, right? That was all over the place, and there's so many similarities. Because think this, and again, this is sofa, sidebar, this is just, you know, going off on speculation street here. So if you go down the avenue of she knew she was pregnant, well, you know 100% you would be Googling stuff about it. And if this goes to trial and gets that far, which I'm guessing it will, we're going to see some kind of like Google histories come up, right? I would think. Some kind of search engines, that type thing. Because I would be curious to know, because that could tell you very quickly if she knew about this baby or not. Well, of course, you're going to be looking up cases like Brooke and stuff like that. It's going to pop up when you start Googling this. Yeah, so there's that. Then there's also the level of she's telling the truth. And she's like, you know, oh my God, I gave birth to this baby and it was, you know, stillborn. And I don't know what to do. And, you know, another aspect of that is, and you'll hear the lawyer talk about this and how the hospital treated her when she came in, because they obviously didn't know she was pregnant right away. But also, if you're going about normal life not knowing you're pregnant, I mean, I'm guessing you could be doing things that could jeopardize the pregnancy, and so it's probably going to be more likely to give birth to a stillborn. Now again, I don't know anything about that, so those are just my thoughts. I'm kind of relying on the comment section to follow up with that, but let's go ahead on to the next clip for now.
Do you guys have, I'm the charge nurse here, do you guys have any questions for me?
Like, how big is the baby?
It's full term.
What? 9 months?
Nothing was crying.
Let's see. Have you watched the news of the girls that what they do to their babies and what they go to jail?
Nothing was crying.
Okay. Whew. Now this clip, I've got some stuff to say. Now before I say it, I'm recording this and it just started pouring down rain. So if you hear rain in the background, that's what's going on. So just enjoy the ambiance. It might be calming to talk about this kind of case. But regardless, the look on the mother's face, and again, I get it. You're sitting there, you ask the nurse, how old was the baby? Full term. I mean, you're in shock, okay? You're like, what? So much stuff would hit you, like, you've been hiding this for 9 months, you've been what? You just gave birth to a full-term baby. Take all the stuff aside of the legal aspect, the what? It's like, you just gave birth in a bathroom? I mean, this woman's giving birth, she knows what it's like. You just gave birth in a bathroom to a full-term baby? And then came back out here and tried to play it off? Like, what? That's next level. But then, notice this. The mother goes right into, do you know what happens to these girls who give birth to these babies? And I'm thinking this. I'm like, probably not the right reaction to have right now. It would be a thought in my mind for sure, okay? Not the thing I would want to be saying right then. I feel like my first, because even just watching this as a bystander, I mean, I was just like, whether you knew the baby was like not alive at this point or whatever, my first thing was like, but is it okay? You know what I mean? Like, just all these thoughts, like, my thought was with the baby. You know what I'm saying? And I get that's her baby in front of her. You know what I mean? I'll give her that. But nonetheless, it's like, as a viewer, my thought is with the baby. Like, when you find out it's full term, now this doesn't matter. You know what I'm saying? If the girl was like, it was 3 months old, whatever, this is still like, you did what? I mean, obviously she wouldn't have been in labor. Right, I get that. But she could have gone into, you know, premature, whatever, okay? But it's just the fact that it's like, you gave birth to a full-term baby in the bathroom and it's dead. Like, you know, it just, you just immediately think of like the you know, the life of the baby, the magic of life, and it's like, this horror is just painted all over it. So I get that with everyone's reaction in this, and I also understand the girl getting more freaked out because she's probably facing what she was trying to avoid, which is her mother's wrath.
I can't tell you nothing, honestly, okay? All I can
Like,
say
she's
is,
not gonna go to jail.
right now,
No.
right now she's being detained. So she's not going to leave from here at all, period. Okay, so one of us will
Is
be
it in your custody? Like,
Yeah, she's detained. Yeah, she's not under arrest, but she is
Okay.
detained. Okay, she's not free to leave.
Okay, now since the last clip, it started thundering. So just, we're reinventing, we're re-bringing back the Cure concert because this is how they opened it with thunder and rain. Okay, so I do apologize if you can hear that in the background. I hope you enjoy it. Now, on this, with the mother's face, when she was like, you know, he's like, she's being detained. And she's like, in your custody? And he's like, yes, and the gasp. You know, now Lexi is just freaking out. Her life's over. She's getting ready to graduate, okay? Like in a week or something. I mean, it was like crazy, like not a week, but like soon thereafter, right? She was gonna graduate. And this is unfolding for her. Her world is over in her eyes, and I mean, it kind of is, right? Life as she knows it. Remember, this is on the heels of this other lady there in Hobbs getting sent to prison for 16 years. So the mom is very aware of this. She is being like pragmatic, like all that kind of stuff. But again, I'm also kind of like this. I'm like, girl, what did you think they were going to do? Just let her go home? You know, whether we know it or not at this point, she just gave birth to a baby in the bathroom and threw it away in the garbage. Okay? They are going to detain her. You're lucky they didn't arrest her on the spot. You know what I mean? I'm just like, so the mom's reaction to a lot of this stuff, I'm just like, you know, and again, then I flip over and I'm like, but that's her baby sitting there who's made incredibly bad decisions and whose life is over with in a way. So it really messes with my brain and emotions, the circle I go in with it, you know, because I get angry at first. I'm like, okay, but if I was him, I would have these same concerns, but I would also just be like, you know, I just can't get past the fact that my kid would have given birth to a baby and wouldn't have felt comfortable enough to tell me in the first place. Like that right there alone tells me a lot that is not being said in this interviews and in the relationship that we see play out between the mother and daughter.
where did you put the baby at? Tell me the truth.
In there.
517.
That came out in the toilet. You put it in the bag?
Yes.
In what bag? Why did you say anything to us? Do you want to get in trouble for this now? You could get in trouble for this, baby.
Mom, alright, just give it time, okay? I'm going to speak to the detectives whenever she's ready, okay? You ready for the second one? Second.
I thought about coming on here and saying since the last clip it started like, you know, a tornado coming through or whatever, but we're still just raining and thundering. It's almost like leading up with the mother's anger through this, right? Okay, so this, I'm like, great, Mom. Let's just get her in more trouble, right? The mother's so concerned about her being in trouble, but having her talk about this on camera. The mother is so concerned with chastising the daughter and coming at her and being pissed off, right? That's her first concern. Not the baby, not any of these other things. It's being angry at the daughter. I understand as a parent you would be upset, you'd be scared, you'd be pissed. I get it. But now's not the time, right? It's absolutely not the time. The cops like let her, you know, remember she's 19, but obviously the mom runs everything. So she's 19, but also it's like, Mom, have some common sense. This is being recorded. You don't want your daughter saying the things that she just said on camera. I put it in the garbage bag. You know, tell me the truth right now. But then also at the very end, you could get in trouble for this. Do you want to be in trouble for this? And I'm like, you know, honey, it's not like you caught her skipping school. This is incredibly serious. And one thing that I think that's evident, and again, I get this, the mother doesn't realize it's out of her hands. She is going to try and control this as much as she can. Now, again, a parent's going to want to protect their child. I understand that. And so she's going to want to do that. But when we watch the police cam footage of them arresting the daughter at the home, you'll see more of this behavior from the mother, because at this point it's like, girl, I mean, you should have well know by now this ain't good all around.
She's over 18. She's got to talk to her.
I understand that,
Right.
Detective Gonzalez.
Right.
What is she under arrest for?
She is warrant for arrest. Okay?
For what?
That's all I'm going to tell you. Okay?
What do you mean that's all you're going to tell me?
She's over the age of 18.
I understand that, but I have a right to know as well.
And we'll tell you that, but we
Okay, then
need
let
the
me know
cooperation.
now.
We need the cooperation.
Let me know now. I'm giving you the cooperation. I told you answer my question.
Mm-hmm. All you need to know about how that household goes right there. Now here's the thing, and again I look at both sides of it. So remember this, Lexi is 19 years old. She is currently in the home right now where the police are there. So she's there. The mother's not going to let her come out yet. And again, the mother wants answers, this, that, and the other. Now remember, at this point, she knows what happened. Okay, so what's she under arrest for? Jaywalking. You know, what do you think, honey? You know, maybe the baby that she threw away in the garbage at the hospital a couple of months ago. You know what I mean? It's just like, let's be serious here. Now, what she is arguing about is that the police officers have search warrants, and they have an arrest warrant and a search warrant, and she's wanting to search. Well, she wants both of them, and she wants to know what the arrest warrant's for. Well, you already know, girl. You already know this. And they're telling her, we have to serve your daughter, and then she can elect to share the information with you, which this mother is putting up, you know, a halt to that. Now, again, this is from Law and Crime, and I'm only putting up some of the highlights of it to discuss here, but the whole thing is on their channel if you want to go watch it there, and I suggest you do watch it if you want to follow this case, because you'll see this back and forth that goes on for quite some time with the mother and the law enforcement until the daughter does finally come out.
What is she under arrest for?
Like I said, she's over the age of 18. Like, that we can't really put that information, but if you bring her out here, we'll tell you.
What is she under arrest
If you bring her out here,
for?
we'll tell you right in front of
No, I'm not bringing her out here yet. Let me know what she's under arrest
She's going to
for.
get arrested regardless. No, I mean, that's the out of the way.
For what? For what? For what?
Are you okay with telling me?
Yeah, go ahead.
Tell me.
Homicide. Open count of homicide. And tampering with evidence.
Tampering with evidence?
Yes.
At the hospital?
Yes.
So you hear the cop finally just go and tell her the homicide and then tampering with evidence. The mother's first reaction is tampering with evidence at the hospital? Can we talk about the homicide charge? This is the thing with this that kind of just runs all over me. And again, one side over here, I understand that that's her baby, her daughter. I get that. But there's just this whole thing of like accountability where I'm just like, your daughter did something really, really wrong. She made a really bad decision. Does not matter where the origins of that bad decision came from at this point. The decision was made, and, you know, the courts will decide if a life was lost at her hands or she disposed of a corpse. I mean, that's what's going to come down to, right? But at this point in time, because they did an autopsy, and the autopsy said the baby died of asphyxiation. So that's where these charges are coming from. They're saying that she killed the baby. And so she's going to have to fight out in court. But the mother's going to have to realize that this is out of your hands. Like, you can't do this. What I was waiting to see, I was like, oh my God, this is going to be like one of those TikToks that you see where the people flip out on like basic stuff and try and tell the cops like how to do their job, which again, I get there's corrupt cops or cops that don't know what they're doing. I mean, I'm not trying to say everybody's perfect, but in these situations where they're being very patient and they're going by the book and we're trying to do the right thing, you know, and then you end up seeing somebody on the ground in cuffs, right? Because they go next level berserk on the cops. And I was like, we're about to see that with this, right? Thankfully, it doesn't get to that point. Let's keep watching.
I have a right to see a warrant. It doesn't matter if she's over the age of 18. This is my house. You have a right. You have to show me that warrant.
Now, this is what I'm talking about. She's going to go ahead and just supersede the law and the cops and all this. Doesn't matter. This is my house. But again, it's this behavior that makes me sit here and think this is probably what was going on in the household that made this young lady afraid to come to her mother. Imagine coming to this lady and telling you or her that you are pregnant out of wedlock. Whatever their beliefs are, I don't know. Yeah, but I'm just going with that. And I say underage, but I mean, you're 19 years old living at home. You know what I'm saying? You're not married. You know, you're getting ready to go to college, so you don't have a career and you're pregnant. Imagine telling this woman that, what the reaction would be, right? I mean, I would be scared too.
You bet when this is over, I'm coming for the police department and the hospital.
Oh, she's going to get both of them. Honestly, is anybody getting Letitia vibes? I mean, when she said that part, I was like, you know, she even sounds like her. She's going to show them all. She's going to sue the hospital and the police department. Now we'll see why she's going to sue the police department, the hospital, here in a few minutes when the lawyer starts talking, when she comes after them. And again, the evidence will show what really happened, but we obviously don't know all of that now. So let's go ahead and see Lexi come on out.
What's your name?
Lexi.
Okay. What's the last 4 your social? I have to serve you first, then your mom can get it, okay?
Okay.
Now look at how quiet she is compared to her mother. You know, to me, I get the energy that her mother tells her how to do every single thing, right? And I mean, obviously, this is how it works with a lot of kids, but to the point where it's like she didn't get a lot of being out there and about there in the world and whatnot, and so that wasn't like a thing for her. So, on that note, I also feel like, you know, we're watching somebody whose world is disintegrating. I mean, she's getting arrested. Now, when she got out of the initial, she was released on, I think, $100,000 bond, and her school, and we'll hear the lawyer talk about this, but basically she didn't go back and she graduated, but not like, you know, going to graduation for obvious reasons. And I think she only went back to school for a final, and that was it. And then she was done. Now, the last clip of the body cam footage I want to watch is not really paying attention to what's being said, but her getting cuffed in the background.
Is there any force?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll meet her in the front.
Okay. I'll get with him and do all stuff. Go to dispatch.
Okay. I'll meet you in the front, okay?
Now again, that's when it all becomes real, when the cuffs go on and you're getting put in the back of the squad car, you know, for her mother and her as well. Now this is where we're going to enter into watching what could they possibly say, what is their lawyer saying happened.
Mitchell says Treviso had spent 4 hours working out with her cheerleading team earlier in the day and was dehydrated. He says pregnancy didn't even cross her mind.
There's no question that she thought she had been protected. There's no question that she had wisely used birth control, she and her boyfriend. So, but obviously it didn't work.
Upon arrival at the hospital, Mitchell says Treviso was loaded with medication, including Zofran, sodium chloride, and morphine.
Now, another thing I do question about all this is him saying that, you know, she went in, they gave her all this medication. And this is where it's going to be very crucial to learn what the facts are. At what point did she know she was pregnant? Because we'll learn in some of these interviews with the lawyer where he's basically trying to say like they didn't tell her, you know, that she was pregnant or whatever. And so they gave her all this medication and this, that, and the other, and it'll be very crucial to all that. And again, I have no idea what it feels like to be pregnant. I don't know. So, you know, I'm going based on just essentially what face value of what we're hearing, that she didn't know. She goes in, they didn't tell her, so she had no idea going to the bathroom that she was going to be giving birth to a baby.
This is a horrific case of a young person who goes for help to the right place, the only place in that community, the place in that community you should be at. She went there for help, and this is the result?
But not a single one of them told her that she was pregnant. Not a single one of them told her that we need to examine you. And she went to the hospital thinking that she was suffering from low back pain and severe abdominal pain, and went there and indicated on a pain scale of 1 to 10 that she was at a 10.
So this is what I'm talking about. You hear he's basically going for malpractice, right? You know, she went in there, I'm at a 10 on the pain scale, they gave her all these pills, had no idea about this, no idea about that. You know, so it's the hospital's fault. Now this is going to become a major, because you know the hospitals, number one, are going to come full force with attorneys like you have never seen in this. Now we saw all the video evidence of her running to the thing. We're going to hear tons of testimony and eyewitness stuff as this case progresses from staff and whatnot, because people are going to know, like you're going to be able to tell, right? And again, I'll be very curious to know, like, okay, she goes in, at what point did you tell her she was pregnant? If she allegedly had no idea.
She's 19 years old. She's a high school senior, graduates next week, although they're not going to allow her to go to her graduation because of the controversy in the community. She has absolutely no criminal record, not even a moving traffic offense, no juvenile record, no suspension from school ever, no infraction at school, and an honor student, and already admitted into college.
Now, this is what I'm talking about. She's excelled at all these other things and whatnot, admitted into college, honors, this, that, the other, cheerleading, and here she is. All of that most likely gone.
So she is shocked whenever she delivers a baby. And then the issue of what caused the baby's death is going to be one that's going to be litigated. I already have a real good idea what caused the baby's death. It had nothing to do with my client. She was not at fault. They gave her major medication. Some of that medication certainly dangerous to a unborn child or fetus, and contraindicated if you're pregnant, certainly contraindicated if you're going to breastfeed later on. And that medication was started without finding out whether or not she was pregnant. And a member of the cheer team, since she was a freshman in high school, a member of the choir, just an all-round top-notch student and person. Just never been in trouble.
So there you go. We're getting a glimpse at what the defense possibly could be, because obviously this will change over time with more facts and evidence that come forth. If it ends up going to trial, if there's not a plea, there's a lot that could happen. Now, one thing that is curious with this is he's claiming, look, she goes in, she's not expecting to give birth. They give her all this medication that could damage the baby and harm the baby, or breastfeeding, or this or that or the other. Now, I'd imagine the hospital would be like, well, you have to disclose that you're pregnant, right? Like, I mean, we're not rocket scientists kind of a thing. And so they have to then determine if the patient isn't being upfront and honest. And that's where you get back into the discussion of, did she really know she was pregnant? And time will tell, and evidence and facts will tell. So again, as I've said throughout this video, this is one of these cases, and a lot of these cases do this. And they're each unique, and they're each very circumstantial on the evidence and whatnot as to how it makes me feel and whatnot. Because I do feel like, again, I'll reiterate it again, I don't know what it's like to feel like being pregnant or any of that stuff, so I have no idea what that would be like. I mean, to me, but again, this is from a guy's point of view, I'm just like, how would you not know, that you have a full-term baby? Like, how would you not know? But again, that's not my place to say. I very much want to hear about that in the comment sections, because that so much hinges on this. Now, you have situations like, Brooke Schuyler Richardson, who was actively hiding the pregnancy. So there's that. Now, this is a whole other level of trying to say, I was going in with back pain and I gave birth to a baby. Wasn't expecting it. The doctors gave me all these drugs. I go to the bathroom thinking, I don't know what she thought was going to happen. And, next thing you know, here's a baby. So that part will be very tricky. And again, I think legally this will be a very interesting case, because already the things that the defense attorney is saying are going to be, like, what evidence do you have, you know what I mean? Now also, this will be another case where we're going to learn a lot about this family is going to just get put out there, the relationship and all that. And again, I think it's heartbreaking that this girl didn't feel like she could go to her parents, go to her mother and say, this is what's going on. And so that part alone, I'm just like, really? This is very, it's very telling. All the way up to being in the hospital, giving birth to the baby, and still lying about it up to the very last minute. Also, so much of the things that were said on the video evidence, the police body cam, that type thing, is going to be dissected during this, because of her coming right out like it wasn't crying, it wasn't doing this, it wasn't doing anything, but then again you get into the whole thing of, okay, but you threw it away in a garbage bag. Now, the autopsy is saying that the baby died of asphyxiation, that there was air in the baby's lungs or whatever. So this attorney said that he's going to also have their own people do an examination and whatnot. So to turn around and literally be coming at the hospital and saying this is your fault, I think is like a real tall glass of water to swallow, right? But again, time will tell. Again, I am very curious to hear what your responses are to the questions I've been asking through this, and also just in general. Here is another senseless death of a little baby that there's plenty of people out there who would have wanted the child, right? right? I mean, that's what's absolutely heartbreaking about it at the end of the day, is the loss of this little baby. So that's it. Let me know what you think down in the comment section below. If you're still watching, drop some sofas for Mr. Roscoe over there. I do appreciate it. And until we meet down in the comment section to continue talking about this, I'll see you there.